With this being the directorial debut of Danny and Michael, did they make a horror film that is worthy of your time, or is Talk to Me just another one of those films we will forget about by the end of the year? Come find out. Welcome to Cine Here, where you come for all of your media needs. My name is Ray, and today I am reviewing Talk to Me, directed by Danny and Michael Philippou, starring Sophie Wilde. Talk to Me is about a group of friends using an embodied hand to talk to spirits and getting hooked on the high that it gave to them, and what transpired after is something you have to check out for yourself. The directors of this film, Michael and Danny, have been doing camera work and other things since they were kids, and now they finally got their hands on a project that they made theirs. I do believe that I liked the direction of this film and where they tried to take it to. As someone that loves horror films, I was really looking forward to seeing this movie. I can say that on the horror scale, it didn't quite meet that high expectation I had when it comes to giving me scares. But what I can say about this film is they do a really good job of delivering decent scares throughout the film. Nothing over the top, but nothing that I thought was bad or that I thought was cheesy. I thought everything in this film, when they attempted to try to scare you, did a decent job. Again, nothing scary in this film, but a lot of creepiness and a lot of things to think about when dealing with the supernatural. Sophie Wilde did a really good job of portraying Mia, a young woman that lost her mother, and 2 years after the anniversary of losing her mother, deciding to get into this conjuring embodied hand that is the craze going on at the school. Anytime you are dealing with death and depression and the loss of a loved one, it is always tough for a director to be able to put that in a movie and make it seem real and not overdo it and not make it into a joke. And since Sophie Wilde, playing the character Mia, was the star in this film, she had to be able to deliver that well, on top of it being scared and delivering the emotions of dealing with entities outside of her control. I thought the pacing of this film was well done. I never felt like anything dragged on too long. I never felt like the scares wasn't coming enough. And I always felt like the story was moving at a great and steady pace. One of my biggest things I didn't like about this film is there wasn't enough build up to the scares. They did not do a good job of really getting us anticipating what is to come. They just kind of wove in and out of their horror without really building it up enough for it when we reach the climax for us to really get that horror punch that we needed in this film. And it's kind of hard to take a film like this serious when you try to make the experience of talking to the paranormal something that is a joke, something that was treated as if it was a drug, right? And so when it was time to deliver those big scares, or the climax never really reaching the pinnacle because it didn't build it up, once we kind of got those scares, I wouldn't say they fell flat, but I just wouldn't say they had the punch that was needed for me to feel like this film was really scary. A positive that I have about this film is I love the practical effects horror. I can tell that a lot of the things they were doing were done in a practical sense. None, if any, CGI, but everything that was done, it all looked believable. And I have to give a nod for that, because some horror starts to get a little bit cringy when it comes to CGI, and it could take away from your experience. But in this film, Danny and Michael did a good job of immersing us by having a lot of practical effects and a lot of practical horror. If you enjoyed this review so far, make sure that you hit the like button. I would really appreciate it. Now, back to the review. And the last thing I'm going to talk about with this film is going to be the story. The thing that makes any film great, the story. And in this particular film, the story was nothing to write home about. Another basic story. Nothing that's going to grab you and hold on to you like the Spears did to the kids in this film. It is nothing that will be memorable or remembered once you get done watching this film. It just falls into the wasteland of all the other films you have ever seen before. Talk to Me will never be remembered for anything. And I'm not saying that in the negative sense. I'm just saying that in the sense of they didn't do anything to make this a memorable film. And with that being said, I would have to give Talk to Me a 6.5 out of 10. This film is something that is worth a view when it hits streaming services. I would not pay my hard-earned money to go to the theater and see it, but I can say this. I would love, and I do mean this, love to see more films from Danny and Michael in the future. I don't think that this film by far is something that I would say I never want to see no more work from y'all. I really do want to see what more they have in store because I did like a lot of the things that they did. It was just that the story wasn't good enough to propel the positive things that they did in the directorial sense of this film to another level. If you enjoyed this review, make sure that you give it a like. If you want to see more of my content, make sure that you follow, subscribe, and or hit the notification bell so that you can see more of my content. And do not let the conversation in here jump in those comments, and let's talk about horror films. Let's talk about this film and anything else that you want to talk about down in those comments. And don't forget, you've seen it here.